Welcome to r/entitled people, where we share stories from your lives about people who think the rules don't apply to them and they should get what they want. Thank you, friends, for subscribing to the channel and for so many likes. And today we have 3 great stories, so subscribe, hit the like button, and let's begin. The first story: guy on the run from the Park Service checks into my hotel, gets arrested. The second story: 5 hellish years of fighting corruption in the HOA, but I won. The third story: the woman claims to be the owner and then tries to steal. The first story is the time I accidentally assisted in getting a wanted criminal arrested. So I worked at a particular famous big hotel in a particular national park in the northern USA over the summer. It's my craziest guest story from my time there. Since it was a while ago, my memory of the details is slightly choppy, and there were some things I wasn't let in on for security reasons or something. So it's a weekday night. We're almost fully booked. 214 rooms as usual. Fairly busy at the moment. A gentleman comes in asking if we had any availability. Being that we were in a national park, it's not too uncommon for hikers and whatnot to just see if we have anything for the night. However, this guy gave me bad vibes. I'm not usually one to judge by appearance, but he was incredibly disheveled, had a rude attitude, seemed like he was in a rush, short, heavier set white dude with a scraggly beard, an oversized, very stained shirt. You get the picture. We'll call him SD, short dude. Against my better judgment, I gave him the last room we had left. Me: okay sir, if I could just see your credit card and ID, we'll get you going. Looking disgusted, SD says, I don't believe in credit cards. They're what's ruining this effing country. He proceeds to whip out the $300 in cash on the spot. I asked my manager if we're able to take cash payments and she said yes. Alrighty then. So I take the cash, have him fill out the reg card, all that good stuff. He fills it out as just one adult, and he also informs me he has 2 service dogs. Cool, not a problem. I gave him his keys and he went on his way. As expected, he comes back in a few minutes later with his dog, a cute little pupper, hands me his debit card to put on file. Debit cards aren't ruining America, and then proceeds to head to his room. I think nothing more of it, but my fellow FDAs and the Bell staff agree the guy was a bit sketchy and odd. A few minutes later, after another man, very disheveled as well. Dirty clothes, hunched, doesn't look like he's showered for weeks, comes in with another dog. We'll call this gentleman TD, tall dude. SD was supposed to be the only guest with a service dog that night, so it struck us as odd. Oh well. Following this, I took a quick bathroom break. I'm gone for not even 5 minutes, and when I get back, I'm informed by my fellow FDAs that we've gotten several noise complaints already from guests around his room. People say they hear barking and scratching. We send security up there. They find the service dogs alone in the room, absolutely annihilating everything. They scratch the SH out of the main door, so security and the GM try to hunt the guys down. Keep in mind there's no phone service, pretty much non-existent Wi-Fi, and the hotel is gigantic. I think you've figured out at this point that TD was with SD, despite him signing for just one adult. Finally, they find the guys in the bar. They're drinking their A's off. They make the guys go back up to their room and get the dogs. They oblige and bring them down to the bar. But of course, the dogs get in a big fight, right in front of the 50 or so bar patrons. Classy. The guys go back to their room. It's getting late and I'm almost ready to head out. I'm counting my cash in the back, and I hear screaming at the front desk. SD is back. SD, I want my effing money back. This hotel's an effing joke. We're leaving. Literally screaming at another FDA. He storms away, presumably back up to his room. We see him walk out of the hotel, back to the main road with his dog. We radio security and whatnot to keep them updated. Moments later, TD calls down from their room, asking why we tried to call him. I mentioned that we wanted to speak to them about the refund, since it was clear they intended to end their stay early. TD says, and I quote, "Oh, you mean the money you effers stole from me?" Never mind that his friend was the one who handed me the cash. He then hangs up. At this point, my boss asks me to hang around for a while in case I need to refund the guy. Legal reasons, I suppose. No problem. So now NPS, National Park Service, shows up. They've got a few rangers and they go up to the room. No clue what happened, but I heard shortly after that TD was missing. This crazy bee was on the run. My manager tells me to just keep my cash in the drawer, and she let me know if I needed to do anything with it, and told me I could head to bed. So as I'm walking out of the hotel, the assistant GM and a park ranger tell me to stay, because they think SD may be in the parking lot. So I wait a bit, then they give me the go-ahead. I head to bed, though shortly later the assistant GM and security knock on my door. They want me to come back down to the hotel and refund SD. Odd seeing that their dogs annihilated the room, but it's not my call. So SD goes to sleep in his van while NPS keeps an eye on him. As I'm entering the dorm, I see an NPS truck pull around into the parking lot, and a bunch of flashlights cresting the hill. I go back to bed. TD is still nowhere to be found, apparently. I learned the next day that later on in the night, TD drunkenly, also probably on some sort of drugs, shambled and stumbled towards a ranger threatening him with bear spray. The ranger pulled a gun on him and told him not to take another step. He was then arrested. And that, my friends, is how I aided in the arrest of a wanted criminal. This gentleman was on the run from the Park Service for his crimes down in Yellowstone, taunting a bison, traffic violations, etc. And what better way to escape the National Park Service than to stay at a hotel in another national park? Brilliant. Dude, that's really excellent. This is when your intuition was right. This dude really was weird and suspicious to begin with. I'm a bit worried about those dogs. I hope they're now in better hands where they're cared for. And yes, I'm very glad to hear he's been arrested. Teasing a bison is indeed a crime against nature, but I'm not sure it's criminally punishable. It's more of a non-interference in the lives of innocent animals and putting them at risk. But however, I'd still like to see a bison ram his huge furry head into the back of this idiot's head and send him flying across the whole D park as he deserves. People like that are what are really ruining our world. Next time, I would check every suspicious lodger for a criminal record, an escape, or a criminal present. Like you had his name and details, it's easy to Google whether this person is wanted or not. The second story is long, hard fight against corrupt HOA. I'm a long-term owner of a condo, 30 years. When I bought my condo, many of the original purchasers still remained in the association. About 10 years ago, I moved and rented my condo. During the time, many of the original owners sold and just a couple of them remained. About 5 years ago, I got notice of some unusual changes being proposed to the bylaws, including the board having authority to spend 25% of the budget on whatever it wanted, and removing the requirement of an annual financial audit. Red flags shot up everywhere. I attended the annual meeting where the changes were going to be voted on, and I raised holy hell. The two remaining original owners had taken over the board and manipulated all the new owners into believing that the board had dictatorial powers. When I pointed out the unlawful changes to the other owners and reminded them that the bylaws were meant to protect us, the changes were rejected. This incident started 5 years of hell for me. I started looking at other association matters that had happened while I was an absent owner. Over $100,000 had been spent on pet projects by the board that were never run by the owners, and the same people kept getting elected to board every year. Concerned about my investment, I moved back into my condo and started talking with people. I was getting the cold shoulder by everyone, and found out that I had become known as a problem maker. I persisted on, informing people of unlawful activity that was going on, despite people rolling their eyes at me and dismissing everything I would say. A year later, I had a lot of water damage occur in my unit. When I went to the board to file an insurance claim through the association's insurance, it was rejected, and I was told to pay for it myself. They told me, your condo, your problem. I couldn't afford $20,000 in repairs, and I filed a lawsuit. During the 2 years of the lawsuit, I had access to the association's documents, which showed election fraud and misappropriation of funds. This was reported to authorities who did nothing because it's an HOA. Government agencies consider HOAs self-governed and would not do anything unless a lot of owners file complaints. I was fighting alone, so I got nowhere with that. After 2 years of fighting the HOA in court, against the lawyers being paid by the HOA insurance, my lawsuit came to a complete stop over a technicality I wasn't able to fix. However, I did find out that the board had hired an extra lawyer and secretly paid him with HOA money. I brought this to the attention of one of the other owners, who would occasionally listen to me, and she had a hissy fit. The board had told the other owners that my lawsuit was frivolous and that it wasn't costing the association any money. She confronted the board about spending tens of thousands in HOA money on a secret lawyer and claiming my lawsuit was frivolous when the court found their counterclaims frivolous. The board shut out all the other owners and told them that the board can do what it needs to without the other owners' consent. Now, most of the owners were upset and called a members meeting to find out what was going on. I now had people willing to listen to me. I exposed everything. The election fraud and the massive amount of money that was wasted that the owners didn't know about. The owners petitioned the board for a members' vote to remove each board member. The board fought back viciously, but the main board members that had hijacked the association were removed. The new board then fired the management company that helped the bad board commit its crimes. After almost 5 years of living in hell, feeling lost and alone fighting an organization that has 99% odds in its favor, I killed the beast. The board paid for the repairs to my unit and created a committee to rewrite the rules and regulations to ensure that such abuse never happens again. I was appointed to that committee, and I personally rewrote the document using the legal knowledge I had gained from filing my own lawsuit. The owners in the condo association now have veto power over the board. The rules and regulations comply with the law and governing documents, and a sense of pride is returning to the condo that had been ripped away from it by a couple of controlling, manipulative hags that thought they could do what they please. This entire situation was difficult as hell, and it took a toll on me emotionally, health-wise, and financially. It was also very time-consuming. I do not recommend that an individual condo owner fight back like I did. I was lucky and had enough legal skills to tackle this on my own. Most people who fight a crooked condo association lose big time. Unless you can get a competent lawyer to represent you, it could be disastrous for you. But with minor issues, speak up. Know your condo's legal documents, and inform other owners when the board does things they're not supposed to, or not things that they're supposed to. Act reasonably. If you overreact, the other owners will not pay attention to you. I hope others dealing with bad HOA boards succeed in their fights. Hopefully, state legislatures will one day crack down on the fraud going on in HOAs, and give owners the rights they need to protect their homes from HOA abuse. Man, I'm shocked. This is something unbelievable. This post just gives me a huge sense of justice. I'm very glad you had the energy to do such a great job. That you didn't give up is worthy of respect, and I'm glad they were removed from the chairman's seats. But I don't think that's enough. It'd be really cool if all those people who stole the day would go to jail, and for a long time, or at least make them pay the money back to the HOA budget and the honest owners. You also said that around $100K was spent on pet projects, but not spent on personal business. I'm curious, where did all that money go? I doubt that what it was spent on was good for the community. More likely they just split it amongst themselves and pocketed it. Or bought something like expensive and useful, which in fact was cheap and unnecessary junk. And the last story is, entitled Mom Says She Owns the Store. A bit of backstory, I'm 16 and work at GameStop. My boss and the owner of the store is one of my good friends. His name is Mark for this story, so it was a Tuesday afternoon. I was working a shift at the mall GameStop. I work at 2 GameStops, both owned by Mark. I just switched shifts. A Tuesday afternoon, a kid walks in without a parent. He looked about 9, so I asked him if he needs any help. He just said he was looking around. A couple minutes go by, he asks me if he can take a game and pay it later. Now I get this a lot, but mostly for consoles, not $60 games. I say no, we don't do tabs here. He then tells me the owner said he could. I tell him no. He storms off. A couple minutes later, him and a woman come in. She tells me she's the owner, and she gave him permission to take out a tab. Great. No, sorry, ma'am. I know the owner. You're not him. Also, he does not let people take out tabs. She then proceeds to take the game and book it. I called mall security and they caught her. Then I broke the news that all games on shelves are empty cases. She screamed and got taken away. I told Mark. He laughed. It's really so stupid. God, people like that peed me off. Like she seriously thought it would work. Like just walk in and say you own the place and they'll shoot you a red carpet and bring you everything for free on a golden tray. Is that it? Very glad she got what she deserved and was stopped by security. Funny how that turned out, by the way. She stole what she thought was a game and you got security to stop her. Game stopped. And you know, if I were your owner, I would have had her banned from the shop forever. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and have a great day.